Sean Hannity Show. More behind-the-scenes information on breaking news and more bold, inspired solutions for America.
Wow, you witnessed a political miracle. You did it, and I could not be any happier than I am today, because this election is about the forgotten man. Anyway, 800-941-SEAN if you want to be a part of this extravaganza. There's so much to get to, and there's so little time. On days like this, I have to slow myself down, and I will. We'll also check in with our pollsters later, John McLaughlin and Doug Schoen. How could they have been so wrong? You know, the exit polls last night had me by... Before I even got off the air, I was telling my staff here, and I didn't want to make you nervous or I didn't want to deflate you, because I never believe exit polls. How many days in a row now have I been warning you that don't believe the exit polls? Don't believe them. Because they turned out to be so wrong and so off base. The media, the analysis, I mean, even at 9 o'clock at night, well, Hillary's going to come in with a mandate. It looks like it's going to be a landslide for Hillary, and Hillary's going to do this, and Hillary, you know, and we've got all that on tape, and we'll get to that later in the program. But that's not what this election is about. Now, I know I told you as of today that there's unfinished business for me. And part of it is that there are so many things, so many people, groups of people, that have been so reckless, so irresponsible, so myopic, if you will, about this election, they could never see the big picture. My anger at the Republican Party has never been greater than it is now. It would be easy for me to follow up on that promise and name names today, but I'm not going to do it. And the reason is there's just no point. I will be dealing with other unfinished business by the end of the week, and that is an abusively biased, fundamentally at its core, corrupt news media. It is an absolute disgrace, the media in this country. We have an informational crisis in America that it's literally on life support. And they are doing you a disservice. And they pretend to be one thing and fair and balanced and objective, and they're not. And they never have been. And it's so bad that the level of collusion is beyond the pale. And it's usually coming from the very people that are so highly critical of the fact that I am honest about being a conservative. One of the things that I am most appreciative about my job is you give me this microphone every day. You give this opportunity to me every day. You are my boss. You hire me, and if you, for some reason, if I don't do a good job and you don't listen anymore and you don't watch Hannity anymore, I will be fired. It is a reality of the business that I have chosen, and it is in my mind because I have to serve you, and I think the best way to serve you is to be honest and truthful. And I tried to do that in this election cycle, and I am proud. And I told my staff today, I thanked all of them because, like in 2007 and 2008, in many ways, we went out on a limb. And there were many, many times in 2007 and 2008 where even my friends were calling me saying, you're going to ruin your career. You're done. You're going way too far. You're pushing this so hard. Black liberation theology, and Frank Marshall Davis, and Reverend Wright, and Bill Ayers, and Bernadine Dorn, and Father Flager, and Alinsky, and Acorn, and, you know, voting president, and everything else that I would go through. And for the first time in my adult life, I am proud of my country and all of this. But that's who I am. I felt an obligation to you to go out on that tree branch, and if I was going to stand out there alone, there were a couple of others that were with me. I'm not saying I'm unique, but it was pretty much the us at times, because I feel I owe you that. I am very proud, in spite of what other people say. It was Linda says to me, first thing I walk into, the articles were written, biggest losers in the campaign, Sean Hannity. And I knew that would have happened if Donald Trump lost yesterday, and I was fully comfortable and prepared and at peace and at ease with whatever fire was coming my way. Because I knew what this election was really about, and the only question I had is whether or not the people would come through. There is a friend of mine I'm not a big art guy. I don't understand art. I've taken art history classes. You know, if I look at the Sistine Chapel, I am absolutely dazzled, amazed, inspired at talent that I know that I don't have. And one guy that I really like because of the themes of his work is my friend John McNaughton. I bought one, two, at least three, maybe four paintings from him. I don't remember. Anyway, he had written, he had his masterful painting, his signature painting is called The Forgotten Man. And I put it up on my website if you want to take a look. Is it up there now? Yeah, if you want to take a look at it. Because this is what this election was about for me. And the only question I had is whether or not people were hearing me. And it's amazing that so much analysis last night was so wrong and so bad and so out of touch with what was going on in this country. It was beyond frustrating to listen to half of it. And I just preferred to do my own analysis of, all right, how many votes are out in Milwaukee County? How many votes are out in Broward and Miami-Dade? How many votes? Why isn't Hamilton County coming back stronger than I thought it would? What are the votes in Cuyahoga County in Ohio? And so that's how I spent the majority of my night. I didn't go to the Hilton. I didn't go to the party. I stayed home, and I stayed up all night. I literally am on less than an hour's sleep. So if I sound incoherent at any point during the program, or if you hear something like this, that will be my head dropping to the desk where I'm now doing this radio program. But here's what they missed, and this is what this election was about. All year long, I told you, every single day on this program, what this election would be about, what this election should be about. And it really, now I just have a name for it. The painting captures what it's about. The Forgotten Man, and it's called The Forgotten Man. Amity Shales wrote the book, The Forgotten Man. I'm not originating this. But there's a reason well beyond me wanting to repeat myself every day. I went on with my friends Rick and Bubba this morning, and I think it was Rick that said to me, yeah, my son says, there's Hannity, he's giving out the stats, 95 million Americans out of the labor force. But I want to say it in a little different way today, because this is what the election was about. We have so many millions of our fellow citizens that are suffering so badly, that have been so mistreated, that have been so betrayed by the political class, that this culminated in one of the most historic elections in American history yesterday. They are the forgotten people that stood up to the media establishment, yes, the Republican Party establishment that wasn't supporting Trump, the Democratic Party establishment that wasn't supporting Trump, and the globalist establishment that does not have your best interest at heart. And the thing about Trump, he was able to do all of this with all of this opposition in front of him. There were very, very few of us that saw the potential and listened to his ideas about how to fix the economy, get people back to work. But when we have a situation where we have nearly 50 million Americans, 50 million in poverty, 8 million more under Obama, 50 million on food stamps, 13 million more Americans on food stamps under Obama. When you have a situation where you have the lowest labor participation rate since the 70s, 95 million of our fellow citizens that can no longer find jobs or work. When you have the worst recovery since the 1940s, when you have the lowest home ownership rate in 51 years, when you have 1 in 5 American families that don't have a single member of their family that has a job, and 1 in 6 American families, 1 in 6 American men 18 to 34 that are either in jail or out of work living in mommy's basement, and you see corporations leaving in droves, when you see that there's trillions and trillions of dollars of multinational corporation parked overseas because Washington will so screw these companies that they can't afford to bring the money back and invest in factories in Michigan and factories in Wisconsin and manufacturing centers in Pennsylvania and manufacturing centers in Ohio. And when in all the process a president, I guess the shovel-ready jobs aren't so shovel-ready. When you have a government that makes a solemn promise and vow that you're going to keep your doctor, keep your plan, the average family saves $2,500 a year, and people by the millions lose their doctor's plans and pay under Obama up till this year an additional $4,100 a year as wages have gone down. When African Americans vote for Obama 93%, and after 8 years you have a 58% increase of black Americans on food stamps, a 20% increase black Americans out of the labor force. And then we accumulate in the process, not only is spending the money we have, record money that we take in, enough, then we rob our kids blind and have a president accumulate more debt than every other president before him combined. Peace and prosperity drive elections. What happened yesterday is all of those people, those statistics, the millions in poverty on food stamps out of the labor force, not when you have 60% of black teens can't get a summer job. All of those people united and said enough is enough. And Republicans that promised that they would repeal and replace Obamacare but wouldn't use their constitutional power of the purse because they care more about their own power, they're probably worse than the Democrats. And the Republicans that say they believe in limited government, and yet they accumulated more debt under John Boehner, nearly $5 trillion in new beta